Hello everyone. Welcome back to the last part of Divided Times, how literature teaches us to understand the other. Let us have a quick recap. With the example of the four literary characters from European literature, Amanda Michelle Paulo tells that these characters represent the other, who are not belonging to the majority, who are ignored characters, who are marginalized. We readers and the characters within these works view them as mad. However, they are the centers of these texts. Thus, we readers are able to understand the perspectives and emotions of these heroes or the others. Thus, we can see that Greek literature bring others to the forefront. Now let us continue. Fiction teaches us to think creatively about difference. Anthropological studies, psychoanalysis, sociology all offer theoretical descriptions for what a novel teaches us by example and by identification. See, fiction teaches us to think creatively about difference. Fiction teaches us to think creatively about what? Difference. What is the meaning of difference here? Difference here means diversity. So fiction not only presents same type of characters, same type of human beings, people belonging. The fiction represents people belonging to various countries, various cultures, various religions, various races, etc. So we can see the difference. Literature bring us close to difference. We will also identify that even though these people are belonging to various cultures other than ours, they are human beings. That is how fiction teaches us to think creatively about difference. Anthropological studies, psychoanalysis, sociology, all these disciplines offer us theoretical description of people. However, it is literature, it is a novel, it is fiction, which teaches us by the means of examples, by means of demonstrations, etc. How literature accomplished this? The imitation of an action. That is what Aristotle called tragedy. Aristotle has defined tragedy with these words, the beginning of it. See, imitation of an action. See, imitation. Every art will try to imitate the life. That was an observation by Aristotle. Similarly, uh, literature imitates life. It would be difficult for one to think up a more groundbreaking mode of understanding the mind and the heart. So you will not be able to find another method of understanding mind and literature other than mind and heart other than literature. Groundbreaking means innovative. Guilt, jealousy, despair, violence, anxiety, irrationality, fear of death, nothing that is human is foreign to literature. So literature is able to portray all these human feelings. So the more education falls into decline because of lack of imagination, not to mention funds, the more literature is called on to serve as another form of education. So whenever human culture fails to use education due to various reasons like lack of funds or lack of imagination, then literature is called forth to uh, to mm, alleviate the gap, to fulfill the gap. So when we read the emblematic important works of European tradition, we begin to trace the outlines of a coded radical understanding of others. So when we read European important works of European tradition, we understand the other. We get an extreme understanding of the other. Unconsciously, we begin to accept that other is always a mystery, and that easy characterizations lead nowhere. So when we read these important European works, we understand that other is a mystery, and characterizations of other. They are also complicated. Easy characterizations lead nowhere. Means these characters are not easy, they are complicated. Easy, shallow characterizations will be leading us nowhere. Imagine if Odysseus were nothing more than a filthy shipwrecked man, and just think just how much we learn from his arrival on the island of Phaeacians about people arriving every day on the European shores. So thus we are able to identify the life of the emotions of the people, the refugees who are coming to the shores of Europe every day, from the representation of Odysseus as a filthy, shipwrecked man. I have already explained, but I will just read out through the explanations. The meaning of difficult words are given. Anthropology means scientific study of human races. Groundbreaking means innovative. Rationality means not logical and not reasonable. Emblematic as a symbol of something. Radical, extreme. So we are continuing with the discussion on what literature is trying to do. Amanda says that fiction teaches us to think creatively about what? About differences. What does this mean? The word difference here is used in the sense of diversity. In Malayalam, we say Vaivithyam. Literature introduces not people of same kind, people of same character, people of same race, same religion, same gender, caste, or creed, of same culture. It introduces differences and make us understand that they are also human. Anthropology, psychology, sociology, all these disciplines teach using theories. The same things are taught by literature using examples, demonstrations, identifications, using characters, etc. How literature can do this? By imitating life. This is an observation made by the Greek philosopher Aristotle. His famous definition of tragedy begins like this: tragedy is an imitation of an action. You will not be able to find another innovative way of understanding the mind and the heart than literature. Every human feeling can be represented through literature: guilt, jealousy, despair, violence, anxiety, fear of death, illogical thoughts, everything. When education declined due to various reasons, probably due to lack of imagination or due to lack of funds, then literature will take its position to teach the people about humanity. When we read great works in European tradition, we will get a deep understanding about the other, the marginalized, the ignored people. We understand that the other is always a mystery. Such a characterization is complicated as well, not easy. Thus, from Odysseus who came to Phaeacians, we understand about the refugees who arrive on the shores of Europe every day. So that is how literature help us to understand the other. So the last para, if we leave the treatment of refugee crisis to mass media, if we forget the shipwrecked men of literature, from Odysseus and Robinson Crusoe to Michel Tournier's Friday, we remain trapped in the stereotypes of refugees as homogeneous mass of people who have come to tyrannize the West. See, if we allow the mass media to explain or mass media to describe the refugee crisis, we won't get such a perspective which is given to us by literature. Mass media means television, news, all those things. And if we are forgetting the shipwrecked men of literature, from Odysseus, Robinson Crusoe, Michel Tournier's Friday. Friday is a work based upon Robinson Crusoe written by Michel Tournier. We will remain trapped in the stereotype Stereotype means you can see in cinema, same kind of characters repeats over and over again. That is called a stereotype. Uh, See, we will remain trapped in the stereotypes of refugees as homogeneous mass of people who have come to tyrannize the West. See, if literature had not explained to us the perspectives of the lives of refugees, we would have believed that refugees were a mass of homogeneous people. Homogeneous means same kind of people who came to tyrannize, threaten the Western culture. See, Europeans are always afraid of refugees. They think that these people are coming to settle in Europe, and they will be, and Europeans, their position will be gone. They will be left out. They will be thrown out. They always fear that. So, literature transforms amorphous fear. Amorphous means without any well-defined shape. Literature transforms amorphous fear and pity into individualities. It tells us the other is not what it seems. You will understand better when I read the explanation. What happens? What happen if we leave the issue of discussing refugee crisis to the mass media? Will they be able to do justice to it? Of course not. What happen if we forget the shipwrecked characters in fiction like Odysseus, Robinson Crusoe, and Michel Tournier's Friday? If we had forgotten these characters, we would have thought that refugees were same kind of people who came to threaten the Western culture. Europeans fear refugees. This is without any cause. This fear is amorphous, illogical, without any reason. Some people pity them. However, literature turns them all into individuals with flesh and blood. It tells us that the other is not what it looks like. They are also human beings. So, students, with this we came to the end of the chapter. Read the textbook well. Many literary works and characters are referred in the text. Read the glossary in page numbers 10, 11, and 12. All these literary works and characters are introduced in the glossary. Try to answer the comprehension questions with the help of the text. So, thank you very much for listening.